Okay, so we on Parshat Ra'eh, and Parshat Ra'eh is like a big signal towards coming to Elul. We know we like with that whole structure that the Torah sort of puts us into from before Tisha B'Av is that Devarim has to be before Tisha B'Av, and we spoke about that before about creating a world out of words and structure. And the Mishnah Berurah is very clear around that reason. The reason brought over there is that like the Tochachot of Devarim or like the Tochachot of Eicha. But the nature of that tochacha is through these words that build worlds, and that's sort of the end of the harsh time of Bein HaMetzarim, and then we start moving through into Va'et Chanan, Ekev, then Ra'eh, and Ra'eh generally because of that falls out always before Elul. I remember seeing, I think it was the Kli Yakar has got a nice idea that says that the reason that's so is you've got one of the nice links that he makes. It says in the beginning of the parasha we've got this pasuk of Ra'eh Anochi Noten Lifnechem Hayom, and it's like a strange discord in the grammar because you've got Ra'eh which is singular, and then you've got Noten Lifnechem Hayom. So how do you deal with that, right? Susan loves a good linguistic challenge. So how do we deal with that? How is it that we're being told Ra'eh, but it's Lifnechem? So the Kli Yakar, he brings the halakha that the Rambam makes famous, that when we stand in front of judgment of Hashem, and especially in Elul and moving towards Rosh Hashanah, we should see the world as if it's all split 50-50, that it's 50% leaning towards zchut, towards merit, and 50% leaning towards chovah, towards like debt. And the next action that we take will either move the whole world towards merit or towards demerit, and that's the power that we feel ahead of us. So therefore, that's how he resolves this language. Ra'eh, look at you as an individual and appreciate the free choice that you have and the power of your choice, because the power of your choice is going to affect Lifnechem, is going to affect everybody. So we often feel, especially through these difficult times, and that it's like we feel overwhelmed sometimes by everything, and us as an individual, like what role are we playing? Can we make a difference? And things feel out of our control. And Elul and Rosh Hashanah and Yemim Narim all come back to reinforce how vital our choices are, and how meaningful they are, and how significant they are. And I think it's like starting to now, scarily in a way, come up to the 1 year of October 7th, and which is the really Simchat Torah, as we know, is the peak of what begins in Elul, with Rosh Chodesh next week, and it's like very harsh to think about coming back to that time, and like how do we relate to that? It's like a Simchat Torah until this point was pure Simcha, and now it's not. So we've got to think how we build towards that, and I think it's that like sense of like finding our individual self within the collective is something that's important. So that idea is also reflected in what we see here. So this is Rav Chagai Shtemler. Trying to find it. Let's see if I can find something about him. This is what he looks like. He seems to be an expert and teacher in Machshevet Yisrael. He's got a PhD. So let's see what he says about this week's parsha in light of Torat Rav Kook. So the Parshat Ra'eh ala bechira v'ala kfiyah. The Parshat Ra'eh talking about choice and coercion. Okay, so Parshat Ra'eh potachat, to make it a little bit bigger. Parshat Ra'eh potachat b'hatzavat shtei opziot lebechirato shel ha'adam. So Parshat Ra'eh opens up with the establishment of two options for a person. Derech achat, sheba ha'adam bocher lishmoa el mitzvot Hashem. The one way is that a person makes a choice to listen and heed to the commandments of Hashem, to the mitzvot. And the outcome of that should be that he gets bracha. The second way, the other option, is to not listen to the commandments of the mitzvot of Hashem. And the Parshat lays out that if he makes that choice, he's going to bring upon curse. יכולת הבחירה הניתנת בידיו של האדם, so the freedom, the ability to choose, right, freedom of choice, and הניתנת בידו של האדם, that is put in the hands of man. היא רעיון יסוד באמונת ישראל. It's a fundamental idea, a real fundamental principle within the emunat Yisrael, within our faith. עד כדי כך שמצינו דברי חכמים בגמרא, so to such an extent that we see in the חכמים saying בגמרא in Sanhedrin, האומרים שניתנה התורה הייתה יכולה באופן עקרוני להתבטל. Right, so this is something quite radical, that in the Perek Dalet of Sanhedrin, Yud Gimel, Halacha Yud Gimel, he brings this opinion that Netinat Torah hayta yechola ba'ofen ekroni litbatel. The giving of the Torah on a fundamental level could have been cancelled. It was cancelable from a fundamental perspective. That sounds strange. Litbatel mitoch shaitab ba'ones ubekviyah, because it came through the means of force and duress. We know that a famous midrash that Hashem it was like he would put the mountain on top of us. He put the mountain on top of us like it was like this big massive barrel, and said to us, if you receive it, you'll live. If you don't receive it, this will be your resting place, your place of death. So it was like, okay, well, which one should we choose? Okay, we'll take the Torah. So it didn't come. It wasn't a very collaborative decision. So he says over here that these Chachamim in Sanhedrin say that because of that, and also we don't have to talk about that from the Midrash, but just the fact that Hashem had taken us out of Mitzrayim, he had performed, taken us through Yam Suf, performed all these miracles. It was so apparent to us, the presence of Hashem, that it's hard to deny following whatever he wants us to do, even before having to get this whole midrash of him holding the mountain on top of us. So because of that, he's saying that free choice was such an important thing that our lack of free choice there could have undermined the whole giving of the Torah. But the reason why the Torah wasn't mitvatel, why it wasn't nullified, is at the end of the day, what transpired in later generations, that Am Yisrael did choose out of their own volition and their own free choice. They chose to accept the Torah, and we know that the Gemara in Shabbat brings that's what happens in Purim. We've got this expression of kimu v'kiblu et kol haYehudim, that they kimu v'kiblu what we accepted and received in Har Sinai, we then accepted in a place where Hashem wasn't apparent. And in Purim, in the Megillah, we know that Hashem's name is not there. It's where we have to find and seek out Hashem when he's not fully apparent, when he's hiding behind the scenes, and come to him from that place. And in a way, that has to happen in order for us to show that it's coming out of our free choice, that we accept Hashem, and that's what Purim gives us. So Purim is a time, we know it's after that we've been, we exiled, that happens in Galut. There's no Beit HaMikdash. So all of those things, all of that darkness sets the scene for us to choose the light. Whereas compared to Har Sinai, there's just lots and lots of light, and then we choose the light. But did we really choose it out of our own volition? Not necessarily. Okay, so he just uses that as an example to show how important free choice was. That if it wasn't for the free choice that we used on Purim to accept the Torah willingly, the Torah actually could have been nullified. בהמשך הפרשה, מצווה אותנו הקדוש ברוך הוא לאבד את סימניה של העבודה זרה. In the continuation of the parsha, we see that Hashem commands us to destroy the signs of עבודה זרה. אבד תעבדון את כל המקומות אשר עבדו שם הגויים. You shall surely, destroy all the places that the other nations served their gods. ובכל זאת, okay, and at the same time, even though we've got this powerful mitzvah to destroy everything, when a Jew encounters Avodah Zarah, there's a bracha that he's supposed to make if he sees like this amazing Avodah Zarah. Quite amazing, right? So there's a bracha that they make that or that we should make, that Hashem is very merciful to those that go against His will. Right. So, like, what's going on here? What he's trying to express over here, I think, is that even in something that we hold that is so harsh, we see we bless Hashem for giving free choice to the extent that even someone who like does Avodah Zarah, which is treacherous and it's like cheating on Hashem still allows them to live. He still gives them space to live in the world. He doesn't strike them down because He values this aspect of free choice so much. And for this question of why doesn't Hashem destroy immediately those who transgress His will, the reason is because Hashem can't destroy everybody who goes against His will, because that would go against His fundamental rule of giving free choice to human beings. And for us, the only thing we can do in this situation is to gird ourselves with patience, to educate, to explain, to teach, and to daven that the world in the end will emerge from its evil. Right? So the manifestation of good in the world is less important than us having free choice. That's what he's saying over here, and therefore the only way we deal with it is not to expect from Hashem to destroy these people, but rather to use our free choice to be patient and to educate, to try to change the way things are, and to try to bring Hashem's life into the world from our own free choice, and get other people from their free choice to come to it. So now he's going to bring these reflections within Rav Kook and Rav Tzvi Yehuda, his son. Rav Zatzal Katav. So Rav Kook wrote in a letter, in a open letter, with respect in honor of with respect to our brothers, our young brothers that are sitting in the Holy Land. So he's talking about, I think, secular people that are living in the Holy Land. So he says it's very, very far from us. It's like a very, very far from us. It's not part of our world perspective and our philosophy and our belief system. To lidrosh shilton, to demand a regime, to control on the opinions of any person wherever he is. Which is something that in our days is completely unheard of. It's something that you can't do. You can't force somebody to have to believe something. So he's writing that and saying, you in Eretz Israel, even though you're in Eretz Israel, this is the place to be manifest Torah, to live according to halakha, and to bring all the values of Hashem down, the last thing we're going to do is force anybody to keep to religion. Right? Quite powerful. Quite surprisingly powerful. Benoy Yechido is only son of Rav Tzvi Yehuda Zatzal. He says it naged nechretzut l'chol kviya shehi. So he opposed, like, with diligently, any type of force, any type of duress. Shekain kol derech shel kviya hi avla. He brings this quote from this Tikkunim Hashlamot from somewhere. He says any manner of coercion is a perversion. You can make a bumper stick out of that. Coercion is perversion. Adarabah, on the contrary, kiyum mitzvot chayav liyot novea mitoch toda'a emunit amuka k'pi sheshanu b'mishnah Masechet Brachot. So he says the fulfilling of mitzvot is obligated, must come and emerge from a deep sense of belief. Like we see in Brachot, Lama Kadma Shema Levayam Shamwa. So why does Shema, the paragraph of Shema, Vahafta, come before the paragraph of Vayam Shamwa? I think in the Torah it's actually right. They chronologically, the Vayah comes before Shema. So why do we flip it around? So why does that? Why when we recite the Shema do we say them in that order? So that first we will make the choice to accept the yoke of heaven, right? To accept the kingship of Hashem, and after that we will then take on the responsibility of mitzvot. And we normally think it's like different. Okay, start doing all the things that we see as mitzvot and all the directives, and then you'll come to believe in Hashem because you'll be living in that way. The Gemara says it differently. It says no. First, you have to take on the deep choice to believe in Hashem, to nurture your sense of belief, and then the mitzvot are the expression of that. The Kachi L'Shano Harura, and this is his clear language. I think this is Rav Tzvi Yehuda is quoting. Yeah. Yesod Kol HaMitzvot Hu Emunah. The fundamental tenet of all mitzvot is belief. Kabbalat Omachut Shamayim, the acceptance of the yoke of heaven. Emunah Hi Me'al HaKol. So Emunah is above everything. Yesod HaKol, it's the foundation of everything, and it's above everything. Nishmat HaKol, and it's the essence of everything. Hi HaYesod HaIkari LeLimudah Shel Torah uLeKiyumah Shel Torah. It is the fundamental, it's the central fundamental for the learning of Torah and the fulfilling of Torah. Me'ashoresh, me'emunah, me'atorah, from the root, from emunah, from Torah, novea kiyum hamitzvot. Out of that becomes the expression of mitzvot. But lo lehefech, and not the opposite. Chazal limdu otanu. Chazal teach us shekaber alav omachut shemayim tchila, that we accept the yoke of heaven first. There's a nice, there's a beautiful vort of Rav Shlomo Carlebach. I remember hearing from Rabbi David Aaron. He says, why does Shema come before Vayam Shamoah? So he says it's like someone that you love versus someone that you don't love. When someone that you love asks you to do something difficult, so then the thing that they ask you to do, the difficult thing is easy. If someone that you don't like asks you to do something easy, it feels like it's the heaviest, most difficult thing in the world. Right? So how do we build our relationship? If we're in a relationship with Hashem where things aren't going well and we feel resentful and we haven't nurtured our emunah and our belief in our relationship with Hashem, then even the smallest little thing like tying a shoelace, in the way that halakha tells you to do, feels like the most massive thing. Right? It's like someone that you don't like comes up to your shul and asks you to help them move a table. Right? It's the smallest thing, and turns into like the biggest thing, because we are our relationships, we are our belief, we are our fundamental, engagement with the world and with people. And someone who you've got great respect for, let's say, it's like an amazing teacher in the shul or the rabbi or someone you really look up to, and they ask you to try shift a bookshelf with them, it'll be your greatest pleasure, right? Because you get this opportunity to invest in the relationship with them through action. So that's how Rav Shlomo Carlebach explained it. Someone who feels heavy to you, who asks you to do something light, it'll feel like the heaviest thing in the world. Someone who feels very light to you, who asks you to do something heavy, it'll feel like the lightest thing in the world. So that's our goal in our relationship with Hashem, is to feel so close and so light and so connected that the little things feel like that the big things feel like they're little. And that's v'ahavta, right? V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha. When you feel it, when you're in love with Hashem, then vayam shamoah, keeping all the mitzvot, is easy. But if you don't have v'ahavta, then vayam shamoah just feels like these harsh decrees on you. Okay, so carrying on in Rav Tzvi Yehuda. Lo katuv sheyasu kfiyah datit kedai sheyikayem mitzvot mikodem. So it's not written anywhere. We're not prescribed anywhere that we should engage in religious coercion in order to keep the mitzvot first. Ein davar kazeh. There's no such thing in Judaism, right? There's no lahavdil elf hafel, right? Why are we learning this now? It's always interesting to see, like, why is this the Dvar Torah that they're choosing to tell us? Because we're fighting against a horrific nation where their ultimate goal is this Sharia law, Yamach Shemam, right? Where they go into a place, they can't integrate with people. Their whole goal is the opposite of integration. It's to throw religion on them, their families, their children, and to spread it across every breathing human being. And if not, then they fail. And then that comes with aggression, and it comes with exploitation and destruction. That's all that it brings to the world. In Judaism, ein davar kazeh. As much as we love our mitzvot and we love our way of life, we never force it on anybody, because if it's forced on that person, then that's undermining the whole purpose of the mitzvah. The mitzvah was that I understand my soul in a deep and sincere and authentic way. I understand my connection to Hashem as being an inherent part of me. And when I do the mitzvah, it's just the beautiful way that the instruction booklet has told me how to express that beautiful relationship that I have with Hashem. And if someone's forcing me to do it, then what is it? At best, I'm a halachic robot and haven't achieved anything in the world. I haven't done the mitzvah as a unique manifestation of my part of Hashem's soul that exists within me, waiting to be expressed. Therefore, we have to start with the teaching of emunah, of belief. B'dat emunah u'b'kabbalat orachot shamayim b'sechel u'b'regesh u'b'shar tzadim sheba'adam. With the knowledge of emunah, the acceptance of the relationship with Hashem, intellectually, emotionally, and in all the other aspects of man. The educational details will not ever emerge. In true educational effect will not come out of any coercion, will not come out of any force. Okay, so let's fly through this. Nearing the end, he says, "But so in answer to the question, in answer now to the question of is a person who's religious, do we define a person as being religious when they're fulfilling the mitzvot? How do we answer that now that we've made such a big deal out of emunah being the fundamental? Rav Tzvi Yehuda He says Judaism does not begin with mitzvot, rather it concludes with mitzvot. Beautiful. Reshit l'kol kaimata emunah. First and foremost, to all of the fulfillment of emunah, the first step of emunah is a broad, very lofty concept of the acknowledgement and the awareness of a spiritual force of all religions. Right? So it's like, I'm not telling a person that they have to call out in the name of Hashem. And until that point, like maybe if they call out in the name of Hashem and they don't do the mitzvot, so that's like something. Saying, no, there's even before that, there's somewhere where it has to start, which is just the appreciation of that there's order in the world because there's some spiritual force and being that created the world and that sustains the world. If there's no acknowledgement of that spiritual force that oversees us and guards the world, there's no, what is the reason for mitzvot? What is the reason? Like, what are we doing them for? So in more extreme circles, that's the danger, is that the kiyum of mitzvot, you can't live socially and culturally, can't find shidduchim, you can't do this, that, and the other if you're not ticking those boxes of those actions. But that's the danger. So it could be beautiful if everybody's waking up in the morning in that society and they connected with Hashem, they connected to themselves, and then all those mitzvot are an expression of that. But if that inner work of emunah isn't done, then you find this society that's just ticking boxes, and that's actually blinding them from doing the inner work. And what's it for? If it's not an expression of my relationship with Hashem, my relationship with myself, then it just becomes this dry social interaction, like any other social interaction. So many people make a mistake in fulfilling this point. In establishing the fulfilling of mitzvot as the foundation, as the basis for all progress. The fulfilling of mitzvot is not the condition that makes us, frum and that connects us to Hashem. Rather, it's the conclusion. Once I'm connected to Hashem, then I know that the best way of living my life is through mitzvot. But it's not like I have to live mitzvot all the time, and that's going to bring me to emunah. No, it's the opposite. Rabbeinu Rav Tzvi Yehuda So Rav Tzvi Yehuda was very, very against religious coercion. In any aspect that regards the private domain of an individual. This is what he said: religious coercion I hate. In what justification and in what uprightness can you ever justify coercing religion on a person? Right? Quite crazy. Very powerful, right? See a powerful religious leader dressed in black and white, looks like everything you would imagine is like this like fixed religious personality, and he's saying he hates this. Now see how extreme it is. B'shelkach, because of this, Hitzaref Rav Zatzal, B'shnat, whatever this year was, he joined this organization called Liga Neged Kfiyat Datit, the League Against Religious Coercion. Rav Tzvi Yehuda joined this. Can you believe it? Aval b'sofo shel davar parashtu mimena. At the end of the day, he did depart from it. Machar ve'lo eskimu l'shanot et shmam leLiga leMeniat Kfiyat Matzponit. He wanted them to change the name of it to the League Against Conscience Coercion. Right? Why? Because he thought his belief was just like you should oppose religious coercion, you should also oppose anti-religious conversion. So you've got all these people saying you have to believe not to believe. So I'm against that as well. I'm against people telling you that you have to believe. I'm against people telling you that that you can't believe. So in the end, he left it because they wouldn't agree on both sides. But for a time, he was sitting in this league of people against religious coercion. It's remarkable. And these are his penetrating words. If this will be satisfactory or surprising for you, I was a member of the council against religious coercion. I said to those friends, there's no place in this in our present situation for any type of religious coercion. And how much more so the terrorism of this Haredi terrorism, he calls it. Don't know if I want to make any comments on that, we'll just leave it there. And this Haredi terrorism of forcing individuals, chas v'shalom. So he's saying on an individual level that there should be these, I guess, like social structures that force individuals to have to keep according to mitzvot, not under their own volition, is a real problem. It's surprising to read this. On the other hand, it's also not surprising to read it in Torat Rav Kook. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, in one of the pieces we saw, he said like any ma'ala that a person can get, any attribute or stature that a person can achieve, is only something that comes through their own exertion and their kinyan. So that's the positive framing of this thing, saying like if you want to achieve something in life, it's something that's to come through effort and through being a conscious, intentional, hard-working expression of your internal soul and your internal self. If it's not, and you're just doing it to tick the boxes, it's maybe okay, but it doesn't turn you into a better person. The thing that turns you into a better person is becoming a better person through the things that you do. So that's the positive framework. I can't remember exactly which Parshat we saw him talk about it, but this is the flip side of it, is like going against Kfiyat Datit within the umbrella of Parshat Ra'eh that tells us to bring bracha into the world, to make the choice to bring bracha, but ultimately the choice is ours. And to remember that our choices are significant. He's got every good choice that we make will be a open and revealed and swift revelation of goodness and bracha for Am Yisrael, especially those being held hostage, to those who need a refuah shlema, those who put themselves in harm's way in the army. And we should all, please God, return to regular chaos someday very soon. Zeo, any thoughts? I'd love to hear your feedback. What do you think? Good stuff to go into Shabbos with? Hello? Who's going to go?
Yeah, I'll just say that it was worth tuning in just for the initial idea that you brought up about the actions of the individual, the re'eh, and how that benefits everyone. That's a beautiful idea. And of course, Rav Kook's thoughts were surprising. It's surprising to read some of that, but it's also very impressive, and how he was so focused on what's best for Am Yisrael, and
he's so revolutionary, clear, and relevant.
Yeah, very unusual. We need that today.
Yeah. He's unusually sensible.
Yeah.
Holly, welcome back.
Thank you. No, I so enjoy it. It just amazes me how relevant everything is, and that no matter what time frame we're at, Rav Kook is so relevant. It speaks to where you are today. It's kind of like Rabbi Sachs. You read his things from so many years ago and say, oh my gosh, he could be saying that today. It's exactly where we are.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very important concept because I think there are a lot of people that believe that it doesn't matter if you actually have a belief first, that if you do it, through doing it, you'll get there. And the flipping of that just makes so much more sense, that if you have already a love, if you already have a connection, like you're even with it, and again, it teaches you about connections that we have with each other as well as to Hashem, and vice versa. Our friendships and our connections we have here enhance our relationship with Hashem. And that it's so much easier to do things when you have a relationship.
Absolutely. I mean, I wonder. It's like interesting. I think we also believe like if you're doing it for the wrong reason, you'll come to it for the right reason. But I think there has to be intention. That when you're doing it for the wrong reason, in order to get to the place that you're going to do it for the right reason, right? So I think we're not going to tell all of us, because our relationships with them are all fractured, that now we should.
A question.
Yeah, sure. That we should stop.
I don't happen to believe that we have free choice. Okay? Because everything we do, Hashem decides what we're going to do. So where's the idea of free choice?
It's a very good and deep question, Bama. I don't know that we've got time to answer it now, but I think I would say the easiest answer is just experientially. You can choose what you're going to do.
You keep blanking out on it. I don't get the answer.
Okay. Yeah, I think that my answer to you, Sandy, in 1 minute is what your experience is in the next few moments. Like, you can choose what you want to do. The fact that Hashem knows what we're going to choose doesn't have to necessarily say that He's taking away our choice, because our experience of it is real.
Get to what so meant, okay? I want you to go left. Where are you going to go? Where this is.